I don't choose your inspector because I don't want the perceived liability. I had a buyer close a transaction. They happen to be attorneys. And they're like, hey, your inspector missed this thing and it's costing us a bunch of money. Who's gonna pay for that, Adam? I'm like, my inspector? I don't choose your inspector, you choose your inspector. No, we use your guy, you recommended him. And I went back and said, hey, check your email on September 3rd. I sent you, per the Oregon Real Estate Agency guidelines, at least 3 options. And you chose one of many for the very specific purpose of, I don't choose your inspector because I don't want the perceived liability. It's still not technically your problem, but it sure gets a lot closer to being your problem when you choose the inspector for them. So to say, hey, so we sent it out. We have 4 on our recommended list. Which one's the best, Adam? And I said, they're all about equal. They're all great home inspectors. You need to make a decision. Don't let them make you choose one. Because all of a sudden when something goes wrong, they're gonna come after you thinking that I see what happened. Adam really needed his commission. So he chose the inspector that is the least picky to make sure he got paid and to screw me. And it's like, it can go so out of control when you do that. So the best thing to do is, hey, they're all great. It's your choice. If you have a friend or a family member that's also an inspector, feel free to use them as well. We can't choose for them. We've had some people that are like super weird. I'm like, okay, how do you want to choose them? Do you want me to call them all and see who's the cheapest? Do you want me to call them all and see who has the first availability? Do you want me to call them all and see who's the cutest? Like, you need to make the choice. You can tell me what to do, but you have to make the choice. Okay, find the one with the first availability. So you call them like, hey man, when's your next opening? When's your next opening? Okay, this one's available first, and here's the price. Are you good with that? But make sure they choose the inspector. You make money filling out offer paperwork and checking check boxes. If you watch some of these YouTube or like Instagram pages bashing realtors, they're not wrong on a lot of this stuff. They're like, you're so stupid you can't fill out a pre-filled form properly and then you expect to make 15 grand selling the house? And I tend to agree with them. Like, dude, you can't check the check boxes? Like, you can't slow down enough to actually represent your client properly and understand the contract, and then make sure that you convey your competence, therefore your buyer's competence in a transaction. That doesn't go well, because where else is that going to show up, right? The way we do one thing is the way we do everything. Went on a first date with a girl when I was in high school, and her grandpa was over at her house, and he shook my hand, and then he walked right out to my car and looked in the windows. He said, all I need to know about you, I can figure out by looking inside your car. Thank God it was clean. Maybe you've seen it, right? The gym shorts in the back seat with the old McDonald's wrappers and cups in the passenger footwell and, crap all over the place. Like, that's kind of all you need to know, right? Because you're not going to see a dirty car and then see an immaculate house, right? You ever go to someone's house and there's like hair all over the sink and like toothpaste splattered all over the mirrors? It's like sick. Okay, so that is the kind of a weird example, but that's what happens when the offer's bad. It's like, dude, and then you're demanding all this commission money, but you can't do the basics. So be careful, man. I will probably go over an offer no less than 5 to 7 times before I send it for signatures. I go through it top to bottom and then bottom to top, and then I download it and I load it into DigiSign or into DocuSign. And then I go through it again, and then I go through it again to make sure I didn't miss any initials. And then I type up, based on what I wrote, a little synopsis of all the high points, right? It's right in deals, right? I named them 1 dot, 2 dot, and 3 dot. Like, we have an offer, buyer offer, email. So it's broken down. Hey, they're asking $1 million. Our offer is $950,000. Your earnest money is $10,000, which is 1%. You have 15 business days for a home inspection or 10 business days for your inspections. Our close date is this. Is there anything you can think of, like any reason you wouldn't be in town, like within a week of closing? And then you send it, right? So you look at it multiple times, and I swear the third time we'll find things I missed. What's maturity? Sometimes We can figure out what something means by figuring out what its opposite means. So what's immature? Like, give me an example of someone that's immature. Childish. Say crazy shit, run around, don't listen. Impatient, needing to be entertained.
Don't understand social cues.
Don't understand social cues, obnoxious. So now we all were babies, and then we got to a level, right? So maybe some of us stopped maturing or sophomore year in high school. Maybe some of us stopped maturing after we graduated high school. Maybe some of us stopped maturing in college or after college, or when we turned 25 or when we turned 30. Like, we thought we had it figured out and we didn't need anything else, right? So then the learning stops and the maturing stops, and you've seen it, right? You've seen it, like, where you're like, dude, that guy's stuck in high school, right? Still goes to all the football games, where's the gear? Where's their same clothes they wore in high school? Like, typically you can tell when people stop maturing based on how they act and what they wear. When we were in high school, you could tell, like, the dudes that, or the people that, like, didn't ever make it past because they're still wearing, like, Union Base striped shirts or like an Abercrombie rugby shirt, and you're like, kind of old for that. Chris, I'm like, you're still in high school thing, right? Or people in college, right? I mean, a lot of people stop maturing in college or, like, peaked, and so they're like avid fans, and that's all they do, and that's like their life. They, like, keep reliving their college days. But I think mature people, the best days are always ahead of them. Yeah. And you're developing yourself. And then you're constantly saying no to what you want in the moment for what the future holds. And sometimes that's working with a difficult client. Sometimes that's choosing not to work with a particular client. Sometimes it looks like listening to the audiobook or to the education program or whatever in your vehicle instead of listening to music. Sometimes it is reading a book before bed instead of watching a TV show. Sometimes it's waking up an hour earlier to get whatever done that you need to get done instead of sleeping in. Like, all those things are signs of maturity. And then the immature, they don't make their bed, they don't clean their room, they don't eat well, they probably don't prioritize their sleep or their fitness or their education. And then without maturity, right, and freedom, like, you'll never get the accountability, because first you have to be a grown-up, right? Like, adulting is a real thing. So if you are an adult, that means you say what you mean, and you mean what you say at the most basic level, right? If you say that you're going to finish the coursework in a month, you finish the coursework in 28 days. We all have 168 hours in a week, and the coursework for real estate is, I believe, 150 hours. Technically speaking, if someone wanted to, they could finish it in a week. So 150, that'd give you 18 hours of sleep. That would be 3 hours a day for 6 days, and you pull on it at the last one. Like, it's possible, right? And then what we've run into with recruits is people taking 9 months, a year to do something that could technically be done in a week, realistically in 2 weeks. So then Jason and I run low energy on these recruits because they're a bunch of tools. And so then I had a call with Big Ben last week, and we worked through a lot of that stuff. I'm like, dude, we got 80 people in our pipeline, and none of these people are getting their exams. He's like, pro tip, tell them that the motivated get the coursework done in 2 to 4 weeks. Based on your motivation, where do you find yourself on that spectrum? You get it done in 2 weeks, you look slower to do it in 4, right? That's different. Because I call these people, oh man, my baby mama got sick, and my car ran out of gas, so, like, I couldn't study this week, bro. It's been rough. I'm like, I don't want you in my office. The difference between, like, maturity and immaturity, it's these small things. It's not like these massive changes, right? It's these little things, just a little changes. So having recurring calendars, or recurring alarms.